What you want to eat, man? Sister Betty made some of them good ass waffles. Man, you guys ain't had no waffles like these.
Sweet. And we're on live. Coming to you live.
WRX in the morning.
From the Cat Castle. Nah. So the first thing I want to talk to you about was just this Super Al project. I feel like this could be a reality.
Oh yeah, no, I could definitely see Al wearing the tights.
I mean, I feel like if you offer him like $50 gift card to Sizzler and like a full tank of gas, he'd be like 100% in.
Lifetime supply of do-rags. We good.
We should probably explain who Big Al is and why he would make a superhero. A great superhero.
Yeah, not just a superhero, a great superhero.
So Big Al is the guy that we worked with at Crowd Systems for. I worked with him for several years. You worked with him for about a year, right?
I think about 2.
Okay. And he has an amazing Jerry curl. I mean, like
top of the line.
Straight out of 88.
This is textbook stuff.
Like dripping wet. And I think the thing that I love about Al, honestly, like this is the thing that I've found, like as I get older, I'm more attracted to like characters that are like he just has his own worldview. Yeah. Like you could sit there and have a long conversation with him about anything, and at the end, like it won't matter. No. Like he thinks the way that he thinks.
Al is Al, and nobody's gonna change that.
Right. And I think the thing I love about him too is just like his whole goal in life is to like try to help people, but also be a bad motherfucker at the same time. It's like this. It's like he's like the Shaft of 2018.
Right. A little bit.
I was just thinking, like, how funny would that be if he was like, because Kansas City's kind of like a third-rate town. Yeah. So if it's like he's like a third-rate superhero, it's like instead of like Batman or Shaft, we just have Super Al, where he's like being a security guard by day, but then by night he's like out there solving crimes and just like
laying the smackdown,
and also hitting some skins.
Yep. Keeping that Jerry curl juicy.
Keeping it juicy. I like how all of his social media profiles look like Tinder accounts.
I'm telling you, man. He's just using everything like Tinder.
His Instagram bio is private, and then it says like, "I'm just here for bitches."
Al knows what he's about.
That shit cracks me.
Can't hate on it.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
I do have some favorite Al moments, like working with him at concerts and stuff. When like somebody would go down in the crowd, and you'd be like, I've attended concerts that he's worked before, and it'll be like somebody goes down in the crowd and it's super crowded, and all of a sudden you'll just see this Jerry curl like roaming through the crowd towards, it's like almost like Jaws, where it's like he's like coming towards, and he just lifts this girl up on his shoulder and drags her out like a sack of potatoes. And I was like, that's fucking Super Al right there.
Oh man, yeah, like the time that somebody had like gotten through the barricade and were like running around on the stage, and they ran back down and were like running through all of us on the barricade, and I was like getting ready to tackle him, and out of nowhere Al just smacks him down. And of course at that point Al's whole ass is hanging out. He's just on top of this dude,
as it does.
Right. I'm just like, well, cool, I don't have to do anything.
It's like that character from a Chappelle show where it's the gang wars thing, and he's like, yeah, it was a tragedy. What was the question? Like it would be like a whole movie about that character,
right? Yeah. And everyone would be like, oh, they're just stealing the spit. No. We know this guy.
Like, do you know Al's origin story?
Oh no, I can only imagine.
It's pretty great.
Incredible.
I worked at overnight with him one time in Bartle Hall, and we went pretty deep into it. And to sum it up, basically, when he was in his 20s, his sister was getting beat up by some guy that she was dating. Yeah. And so, fucking him in their mama's house. So Al waited one day until both were there mid-copulation, and he pulled that guy out naked. This is his story, not mine.
Right.
Into the streets and beat him senseless to the point where he was hospitalized. And I guess from there he went to prison.
Yeah.
And it's like I would ask him about stuff, and he's like, "I'm a fucking felon. I don't give a shit. I do what I need to do." You know,
this is the hero we need,
right? Operating on a flip phone in 2015, just like full bore.
Right.
My favorite is watching his Facebook posts where he'll talk about like his car and shit.
Yeah.
Like his car got stolen recently.
Oh no. I was gonna track him down.
And then, like, my other favorite is, like, when he'll talk shit to other Crowd Systems employees and be like, y'all motherfuckers need to do y'all jobs. And then somebody else that I know from Crowd Systems will post on his thing and be like, you need to watch your ass, Al. And he's like, I got mine. And it's just like, hilarious.
Bitch, I'm a kid's mine.
This shit's hilarious. I'm like, this could easily be a show.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I've been thinking about that recently of, like, taking regular elements of life and then just adding, like, not like a full, like, superhero or like fantastic element, but just like almost like Life of Walter Mitty or like where it's like kind of like that.
Yeah,
like there's like
just
a
like an
little
element of fantasy. Yeah,
like for Al, where it's like it would be 100, like 90% real or maybe 80% real, but then like 20% of it would be like him out there fucking like really
like ramping it up to 11,
like really solving crimes.
Yeah.
But in like a
acting like Al's not already out there solving crimes.
Basically just documenting this man's life.
Add in some CG, make it look a little bit cooler.
Also following him on dates. I feel like that could be good. Like I'd like to see a Big Al goes on a date with like a 3rd grade teacher episode. You know what I'm saying?
Takes him to the Red Lobster, treats him real nice.
Never calls her again.
One and done, the Al way.
Sorry, baby, I ain't in this for long term.
Just in this for the Al term.
And like his signal could be just a Jerry curl.
When you see the Jerry curl light up the night sky.
And like him getting into disguise is just him putting on an old pair of sunglasses and getting into like a 92 Lumina. How is that not a thing? That's fucking hilarious.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
I mean,
putting on some fingerless gloves.
just going to clubs.
Yeah.
And going there to like you could take all the elements of Shaft and just translate it to Big Al.
Yeah, basically.
Also brings me to my other thing I was going to ask you about. Have you seen anything about Venom?
Well, I saw like the trailers, and the trailers honestly look pretty cool. I like Tom Hardy and everything, but everything that I've been hearing since it came out is nothing but bad.
No bueno.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of my point. Is it's like I'm a huge Tom Hardy fan.
Right.
Obviously, he's an amazing actor. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
But it's weird to me that like they could spend this long and this amount of money because I was going to research it before you came over, but I didn't have time. But like, I have to imagine like you're talking about 3 to 5 years at least.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I feel like it's been in the works for a while.
Possibly. I mean, I feel like it's been around for a really long time.
Years. Yeah.
You know, so it could be like even like 7 to 10.
I don't know.
But and then the amount of money that they spent on it, and it's just crazy that like all that work could get up to that point of putting it out, and then immediately that night on Twitter, like most people are like garbage, trash. It's like holy fuck,
like shit.
That's a crazy event. So it's like I'm thinking about like projects where it's like you don't have to put that insane amount of like pressure on it.
Yeah,
you know?
And it is kind of refreshing to see Marvel just miss on one.
Is it Marvel?
Yeah.
I thought that was Sony.
It might be, I guess.
Sony.
Well, if it is Sony, then that's not surprising. But I think they did give it to Marvel because like the most recent Spider-Man movie was Marvel, and I think they were going to try to tie those together, but who knows?
Yeah, they're saying that they're like trying to set it up for a crossover to go into Spider-Man,
and like that's why they went for a PG-13 instead of R.
Right. Yeah, I saw a lot of people complaining about that too. How they wished it was R-rated.
Yeah. I don't know if that would have made a huge difference or not, but
I like that song.
Yeah.
Have you been listening to any of the new Eminem?
I've just been keeping up with the diss tracks, which were pretty good.
I love his diss tracks.
Oh yeah.
That Kill Shot song is amazing.
Yeah,
it's really funny too. It's really funny too. Like if you think about like people that love Machine Gun Kelly's song, because I've seen people like my advisor at school, I saw one of her like Facebook or Twitter posts was like, "Oh, that new Machine Gun Kelly song," and I was like, "What? That song's terrible."
Yeah.
But I think that's just a generational thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely in that quote-unquote mumble rap stuff. And, I mean, Eminem did kind of go after that in his song.
Yeah.
Like, by kind of mimicking that flow.
Yeah, that choppy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That, is just kind of pervading rap right now.
I mean, it's definitely the current culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, yeah, he's going after everybody on that CD.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even talking about Tyler, the Creator. Yeah. But it's funny, like, I saw, like, a 6ix9ine, which I didn't even know who that was until a week ago. Somebody showed me some of his music videos, and I was like, what is this now? But I saw, like, one of his, like, attempted freestyles, and it was just what are you doing, bro? Like, don't do this.
Yeah, no, I also loved him and another, like, he like challenged some up and coming rapper. He like called him out for his bling being fake, and like brought somebody to test it and everything. And the guys, like, it was all real. And then they were like, "All right, we'll test mine." And all of 6ix9ine's was fake.
Really?
Yeah, it was hilarious.
That's crazy. I'll do this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you like listen to the Bodega Boys or anything.
I don't know that.
Yeah, they're a podcast on SoundCloud. They had a show on Viceland for a little while, and they actually have an upcoming show on Showtime.
Really?
Yeah.
It's called the Bodega Boys?
Mm-hmm.
What's it about?
It's just two dudes from the Bronx just kind of shooting the shit about whatever's going on in the world. Yeah.
It's on Showtime?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one other thing I was going to bring up is, like, do you listen to any podcasts or watch anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been keeping up as much, but yeah, I mean, Bodega Boys, I listened to, like, some of Serial, some of, what is that, Welcome to the Night Vale, and then more political stuff like Pod Save America, Majority 54, yeah.
That's interesting, like, the difference of, like, podcasts that we listen to.
Yeah.
Like, I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, like, from comedians and stuff like that, and then just a lot of, like, I don't know, I try to listen to, like, more, like, informative podcasts.
Right.
Like, I do listen to Gary Vee a lot just because it's helpful with, like, marketing stuff.
Right.
But, man, I find, like, the format is so important.
Yeah.
Like, I feel I'll be honest, like, if it's one person talking, I'm pretty much out from the gate. Like,
absolutely. Right.
It feels like...
I don't care how interesting you are.
It's really tough. It's really tough. You know, it's like... And especially because it's like with the attention span thing, it's like I can focus on one person talking for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then I just kind of tune out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I've really noticed that about myself, where it's like... And that's why I like conversational podcasts, because it keeps it more, like, dynamic and fresher, you know? Yeah. More spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I've actually been watching a lot of, like, Let's Plays. It's just, like, YouTube videos of people playing video games and talking about stuff. Sort of a more visual podcast, kind of, because, I mean, they're still just talking about whatever comes up. But
interesting. Partly
because of, like, the gaming aspect of it, it's a little bit more engaging. So
even
though I have it going on, like, in the background, yeah, I always feel like, you know, I'm not tuning out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought about those types of shows as being like podcasts, but I guess they really are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of the channels that I watch, like, in the more, like, in the less actiony games, sometimes, like, where they're grinding or whatever, they'll be like, all right, now let's open up our podcast. Like, yeah, they like joke about it basically being a podcast. And I mean, in a certain level it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, if you think about, like, what a podcast is, it's basically just someone talking through a recorded medium to someone else. So, I mean, that's really what it is in its purest form. So it really can be anything.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
And, like, video essays and stuff like that.
Like vlogs?
Yeah. Well, not even vlog. Well, yeah, I mean, vlogs too. But, yeah, like, there's this channel that I follow called Nerd Writer, and another one called Wisecrack that do a lot of like video essays about different like movies, TV shows, just different productions of stuff.
What's a video essay?
It's basically like you're analyzing like a certain aspect of some movie or TV show. Like Wisecrack has a series they do like the philosophy of a certain show.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're good. So just kind of like, really just like delving into like what made something come into being, kind of, sort of like that. How the hell did this get made podcast?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like sort of like that, but on a more like conceptual level.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's that called?
Wisecrack is the channel, and then the series is the philosophy of. Yeah.
That is so crazy how many things there
Oh,
are.
yeah, no, there's a ton.
Like, I remember I don't know, you were younger when this was on, but like when like Friends and Seinfeld was like the thing.
Right.
It's like,
yeah, everybody watched
did you
that.
watch Friends and
Right.
Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk.
Right.
And it's like now it's like there's 4,000 things happening at the
Yeah.
same time, and everybody has their own favorite stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like, oh, did you watch this on Netflix? Oh, no, did you watch this on
Right.
Amazon Prime? Did you watch this on Hulu? Like,
So many
yeah,
apps.
it's all over the place.
Yeah.
There's so much.
There is.
Yeah.
So much good stuff, too.
Yeah.
Although I will say that I've really noticed in the last, like, I'd say 5 years, the real fall off of movies.
Yeah.
Like, TV shows obviously have been really good. And we can talk about that, like what TV shows we're into and stuff. But, like, for me, like, movies have always been, like, a really solid art form because they're self-contained.
Right.
Like, when I sit down on Friday or Saturday night, I sometimes want to see, like, a story that concludes.
Right.
You know, like, I
Yeah.
don't want to watch, like, 4 episodes of a TV show and be like, well, I'll see what happens next week.
Right.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like, I like the way that it, like, arcs,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's been really disregarded as an art form.
Yeah, I mean, I think things have sort of moved to a more serialized thing, partly just because you can build a fan base and then like carry it through for like multiple
Makes sense.
properties.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of works for some things, but
Oh, sure.
But at the same time, yeah, we're missing out on a lot of those like standalone things that don't need to be tied into anything else.
Right. I just think sometimes it's more powerful to do it in a movie form.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. Do you have any like TV shows you're watching right now?
I've been watching that Maniac show on Netflix with Jonah Hill and Emma Stone.
Really?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I do like it a lot. Yeah, it borrows a lot from like almost every sci-fi property that I can think of.
When I first saw that, I thought like Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it definitely, like I said, it pulls from a lot. Like, I mean, Total Recall, Brazil, 1984, and Brave New World to an extent.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there a movie version of Brave New World?
I
don't know if I've seen that.
I'm not sure.
There probably is.
There probably is, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's probably a bit dated at this point.
I've actually never seen Total Recall
Yeah.
or Brazil.
Yeah. Neither one of the Total Recalls?
Is Brazil?
Didn't we go to see Total Recall, the one with Colin Farrell?
Oh, well, that doesn't count.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not the OG, but
I struck that from my memory
Okay, fair
the
enough,
minute
fair
we walked out of that. What was that? I don't remember.
yeah, it's kind of like how whenever they announce there's going to be a new The Last Airbender
Really?
live action movie, and people were like, "Didn't we already have one of those?" Everybody's just like, "No, we don't talk about that." Like, fuck him, not Shyamalan.
If not Shyamalan. Have you seen any of the Norm Macdonald show?
I haven't. No.
That show's pretty funny. He has M. Night Shyamalan on.
Oh, God.
They talk about how his career was so great, and then it went in the shitter, and then now it's back to being good. It's like that's a crazy story right there too.
Yeah.
Like, man, have like 3 or 4 like huge movies. And like he said that in 1 year he wrote the top 3 movies for each of the big studios.
Yeah, that's
which
insane.
is insanity.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
He wrote She's All That, or was it it was one of those type of movies, and Stuart Little and Sixth Sense. And they were produced
Talk about range.
right. And they were produced at 3 different studios. And then and then he made The Village.
Yeah. And then what was it, like Lady in the Water or something?
I never saw that.
Yeah, I didn't either. But
I had a friend that loved that movie, but I was just like, I don't want to see some woman falling into a pool.
Right. Like The Village wasn't terrible, but it was pretty bad.
I don't remember it very well. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about horror movies, like if you're getting into any.
Yeah. I haven't been watching much recently, but like I've seen a lot of people post like, oh, here's some scary movies to watch this month, and stuff like that. Yeah, and I have some like downloaded on my external hard drive that I've been meaning to watch.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw Hulu has a Huluween category.
Nice.
Where it's like all different.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the new Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
I kind of bummed because I thought Danny McBride was going to be in it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Also, I think they could have maybe recast Jamie Lee Curtis's part.
Yeah.
Like, I get...
At the same time, like, yeah, I understand, like, having her at least in, like, a cameo appearance, but, yeah.
I don't know. From the trailer, it looks like she's, like, the
main... Oh,
main...
no, yeah. Yeah, she's, like, one of the main people, yeah. But I could have definitely seen at least, like, they should have a nod to her at the very least, yeah.
Sure. Like, I think it would have been cooler to do it with, like, a granddaughter or grandson being attacked and, like, have Jamie Lee Curtis, like, show up towards the end and be like, not today, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, that kind
would
of
be
thing.
Good, yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know if I want to watch Jamie Lee Curtis, like, be old and angry.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I'm sure I'll love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do just love Halloween in general, so...
Yeah, I love the first 2 Halloweens.
Yeah.
The third one's decent, but it's a completely different storyline. Yeah. And then I kind of fall off with the rest.
Yeah, we don't talk about the rest of them.
We don't talk about the Busta Rhymes one. H2O. But the director, David Gordon Green, is probably one of my like favorite working directors. Yeah.
What else has he done recently?
Oh, just a ton of stuff with Danny McBride. And like he did that movie Joe with Nicolas Cage. But like, so like Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals, Pineapple Express. Nice. Oh, what other stuff? Just a bunch of stuff. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Just one of those rare dudes that can do like a bunch of different genres well. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will definitely be excited to see how that pans out.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to come up and see with me and Colby, we're going to try and go to there's a new movie theater up the street from us.
Okay. Yeah.
Brand new.
Nice.
Yeah. October 19th. So yeah, it's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah. Nice.
Did you ever watch American Horror Story?
Yes. I haven't watched any of this season, but yeah.
What'd you think of it?
I mean, I really like it. Some of the seasons, the seasons are just kind of hit or miss. But really, for the most part, they're pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never watched really any of it.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think, like, is there a season I should get into, or
was
there one that was based on that killer, the H.H. Holmes thing in Chicago? Where he was like, it was like the World's Fair, and he was like attacking women.
Hotel was kind of loosely on that. There were some other storylines, but I think that was the season before last.
Was that the one featuring Lady Gaga?
Yep, that was her first appearance, and she was actually really good in that.
I think she's actually a pretty good actress. Yeah. I mean, the trailer for that Star is Born movie looks pretty damn good. She looks good in that movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, in American Horror Story, she was playing a spoilers vampire queen. So, you know, it was a good role for her.
It's weird for me to see Lady Gaga as like a regular person because I knew of her, like I knew the Poker Face song or whatever. Right. But, like, I didn't really know even what she looked like or really anything beyond, like, a song or two. Yeah. And then I worked her concert. It's the first time I ever worked concert security. Yeah. and it was like just this like robot sex orgy for like 4 hours. And they have that monster pit where all the people dress up like crazy monsters. And I was working in that pit, and I was just like, what is happening? This is insane. And she's like riding like a sex donkey where it's got like dildos coming out of it. I'm not joking. Like, this is a real thing. And there's like fireworks going off of it. Like, it was intense.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah,
And
talk about a first concert.
yeah. And then I see like A Star Is Born, and she's like, I'm the girl next door.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I think people don't talk about with the fragmentation of media is that, I mean, look at our president. It's like you can be one thing and translate that success over to something completely different that has nothing to do with what you were doing before, but for some reason it transfers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a certain amount of, like, I don't know, recognition or something.
Sure.
That can at least get you started down whatever path.
Right.
Like, I mean, with Lady Gaga, like, she seems like a genuinely talented actress.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it'll be exciting to see how that Star Is Born movie turns out.
I know Bradley Cooper's singing, so
Yeah.
see how that goes.
Right.
I think it's cool. The recent trailer I saw had Dave Chappelle in it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty badass.
Right.
I love seeing him in movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good seeing him back and stuff.
Talk about a crazy guy that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was talking to Colby about that last night where I heard a story recently that Dave Chappelle can get like $750,000 to play like pretty much any night somewhere.
Yeah.
He can just like basically book a city.
Yeah.
And he was saying that sometimes he'll be offered that and just be like, I'm going to go do like this 30-person club somewhere just to like work out material or something. I thought, what a weird life that would be to be able to turn down basically $1 million a day and just go smoke a cigarette at a club.
Right.
Like, man,
that's crazy.
I was telling her, it's basically like you've beaten the Matrix at that point. Where if you're living in America and money is no object to you, you've basically beat the entire game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You've transcended beyond.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's also that I was also thinking about this. I heard recently that if you make $440,000 a year, then you're in the 1%. Like that is the threshold for it. So it's like interesting when, you know, because I'll follow some startup stuff or whatever, and they'll be like $65 million valuation or, you know, seed round of $30 million and stuff. And it's like, I think people are like shooting too high sometimes and burning out from that when they could just be like shooting for like 440 and like eventually get there and then be like, because what the point of the article that I read that was saying that is that like the difference between having $1 million a year and 440,000 isn't that big of a difference.
Right.
You know, like, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it makes it a lot more attainable.
Right.
Have you seen the trailer for Vice?
Yeah, I actually just watched that earlier.
That looks amazing.
Pretty great. Yeah, and it's by the same people who did The Big Short.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of the same cast.
I kind of feel like those movies are almost like a public service.
Yeah, they really
where it's
are.
like, these things are happening and no one has any fucking idea.
Right, and to be able to package it in a, like, here, sit down, watch this for, you know, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, and you're going to have at least some understanding of the insanity that's going on.
Yeah, that's actually a great example for what I was talking about with TVs versus movies, because like that is so much more powerful as a movie,
right?
Because it can be so much more like dynamic and interesting within those like 130 minutes or whatever it is, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And whereas if it was a TV show on like Hulu or something, it's like a lot of people would watch it, but it's like nobody's gonna really watch like Dick Cheney doing stuff for 10 episodes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's easier to get people to remember like overarching storylines and stuff if it is all contained together. Yeah, you don't have to worry about people forgetting a thread from like one episode to the next. Yeah, or one watching session to the next.
That's the other thing I find about TV sometimes it's sloppy. Like you can tell they're just like, I don't give a fuck, just put it in there. Like because when you're dealing with like, once you're into like the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th season, I mean, you're talking about like 30 to 40 hours of content. It's like, you know. Yeah, and I mean, there are always a lot of like storylines and stuff that just kind of get abandoned. Right. Yeah. Did you see that new Han Solo movie?
I haven't. No. It's another one that I've been meaning to watch, but
yeah, we got it on Vudu the other day. We both watched half of it and fell asleep.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I definitely haven't heard great things about it, and like really just the like non-mainline Star Wars movies in general kind of get worse ratings. So
yeah, I think it was too much action.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, Disney's trying to get as much out of the property as they can.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I heard that they were actually going to stop the side story movies after that because they're like, well, we're kind of fucking up this brand,
right.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, we're kind of seeing the same thing with like Marvel, that they're kind of reaching a point where it's just like, you know, you're putting out a lot every year. Like, maybe slow down, focus on making a smaller number, but make them really well.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that's true for anything. Yeah. You know? Right. I mean, man, I just think quality is so much more valuable than quantity over time. Yeah. You know?
Right. It's interesting. Yeah. And I mean, that's always been kind of a thing for Hollywood, especially. Just, you know, grabbing a certain, like, theme or whatever, and everybody has to make one of those movies. Like, like a year or two after Jaws came out, there were a ton of like, you know, shark and, well, not even just shark, but just like animal attack movies.
Right. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of monster movies.
Right. Yeah.
I think about that sometimes. Like, this is a weird thing that I think about, but it's like, so like we all know and can reference like Jaws, Star Wars, Godfather, you know, the first couple of Scorsese movies, like Goodfellas, and what's the other ones he's really famous for?
Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, all that stuff. Like, we can really reference that, but it's like, what else happened in those years that you and I could have a reasonable conversation about? And like, I think about that sometimes, where it's like that art form like really permeates like the history, you know, like it really is like a time capsule for that time. You know, it's like, I don't know what else happened in 1973. I probably couldn't tell you really one thing that happened. You know, it's really, I don't know. I just find that really fascinating. You know, right. Yeah, I mean, that's always something that I'm kind of reminded of like every time the Oscars roll around, because it's just like, you know, you look at past winners of stuff and it's just like, well, haven't heard of that. and then like you look at the movies that like they beat out and it's just like, oh, that's a classic. That like, it's really hard to say like in the moment what is going to be like the lasting thing.
Well, and that the Oscars is so political. Right. I mean, it's just money. Yeah. I mean, the Oscars is basically just one really long advertisement for more movies. Right. You know? I mean, they really figured out like, if we do this, we can make people go back and buy our product again. Right. You know? I don't know. I was going to ask you about the Chiefs. Did you watch the Monday Night Football?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had class during the game, so I had to tape it. But, yeah.
Were you able to watch it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I've got Patrick Mahomes on my fantasy team.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you doing good?
Oh, yeah. Well, I lost this past week, but yeah. It was a down week for a couple of my receivers. So.
Old Showtime Mahomes.
Yep. Yeah, I actually just got. I just traded to get Hill too, and I have Hunt. So I have most of our offense.
Putting all my eggs in
I was just like, I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna. Because especially after that game, like that was insane. Yeah, like. He's out there throwing left-handed passes.
The left-handed pass is incredible. Yeah. I mean, there was the play where they had the delay of game that didn't get called. Yeah, but it is what it is. I mean, whatever. It went for my team. I'm good with it. Yeah. But I mean, like, it's just cool because, like, you know, I was watching him when he was at Texas Tech because one of my good friends, Xavier, is like a huge Texas Tech fan. He's from there. And so, like, I would always watch those type of games and stuff. And, like, I realized, like, how good he was. And then they drafted him. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And I didn't really know much about him. And then you find out the backstory that, like, his dad was a pro baseball player. And that really changed a lot for me with that, because it's like when you grow up, if your parent is something that you go into be, like you have such a deeper understanding of it.
Right.
You know, it'd be like if I went into law right now, like I sometimes think about that, where it's like I'm going to have a bachelor's in a couple months. I have my associates. Like I could probably get a law license within like 18 months, you know, and really probably practice law, because it's not that difficult. You know, it's just like, but my point is, it's like, when you grow up talking about something at dinner every night of your life,
it really ingrains itself.
Yeah, it comes through, and you can see, you can really see that when he plays, that he's not nervous. Yeah, like he doesn't look nervous. He's absolutely. 23 years old, playing in the NFL, and he does not look nervous.
Balling out of control, and he's cool as a cucumber. Like I mean, like not only was his dad a professional baseball player, but he played, I think, on the Yankees for a little while. Yeah, so like he got to be in the locker room with like Jeter and A-Rod.
Holy shit. That's crazy. I saw the picture of him in the Twins uniform where he's like on the mound as a baby. Yeah. It's like,
it's insane. Like the guy's been around, big league locker rooms his entire life, basically.
And also I think the work ethic is different. Yeah. Like, one thing I always pay attention to with quarterbacks is what they do when they're not on the field. Yeah. Because a lot of times you'll notice, like, some of the best quarterbacks are always talking to their offensive coordinators. Yeah. They're studying the footage that just happened from the play. Like, they're trying to figure out, like, because football really is a puzzle. It's a moving puzzle. Right. The quarterbacks are the people trying to solve it, basically. Yeah. And so it's like my always best example of this is Alex Smith. Like they'd cut to him when the defense was on the field, and he'd just be like staring off into space. He always hold his shirt like this, and he'd just be like looking.
Yeah, him and like Jay Cutler always stand out to me as people, like every time they pan to him, they're just kind of like staring off into space, holding their pads.
And it's like, dude.
Then like every time that they go over to like Mahomes or even like Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, they're always like talking to a coach, be it the head coach or a coordinator, or whoever, and
trying to make things better,
and always going over whatever play.
Yeah. The crazy thing, a really telling moment to me was after that game-winning drive for Mahomes. Like, he celebrated for a couple of seconds, and then he went back on the bench and was talking to Andy Reid about the stuff that had just happened. Yeah. Like, it was that quick.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, that to me is like, if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be one of the best people to ever play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know that I've heard, at least recently, it came up on my radar at least, but that he has supposedly a photographic memory, which is super helpful for a quarterback, especially because it makes it a hell of a lot easier to read defenses. Yeah. And so like him and an offensive mind like Andy Reid being able to just toy with stuff is insane. And the weapons he has around him is, it's like a kid in a sandbox.
Do you have that, like a photographic type memory, like with numbers and stuff? Like, can you visualize things?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. It's not as good as it used to be. Like whenever I was in like high school and stuff, it was really good. Like I could, basically pull up my notes whenever. But yeah, I don't know. It has sort of diminished with time. But, yeah,
I was just curious because I do have that. Yeah. Like I can go back into points of my past and like basically visualize and remember them pretty much 100%. Yeah, like the way that it was. Yeah. And it's a weird thing to have because it's like people always say, oh, photographic memory is, oh, you're a genius, this and that, or whatever. But it's just a different way that your brain functions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You just have a more detailed memory for specific things, not necessarily like, oh, you remember every single thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, something that no one ever talks about is like I'll just call this audiographic. Yeah. Like, I can remember things so much better when I hear them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a real thing, like, especially for, like, taste and smell, that those are linked very, very closely with memories. And so, like, that's why, if you smell, like, your mom's cookies, like, it instantly transports you back.
Right. Yeah, they do say smell is, like, the number one thing with memory.
Right.
I mean, we forget that we're basically just organisms.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, we evolved from sea creatures.
Right. I mean, yeah, we're basically just super advanced single-cell organisms that are just kind of absorbing a bunch of different stimuli.
Yeah. Don't you think that it really, like, in the history of the world, like, we'll probably be looked at as, like, training wheels for AI and robots?
Probably.
I think that's more than likely the scenario.
Yeah. I mean, especially considering we're, like, sort of rapidly approaching a tipping point for climate change, to where, like, we won't necessarily be able to do anything. And AI and computing in general are just sort of rapidly sprinting ahead.
Right.
So really it's only a matter of time until we have, you know, some sort of feasible AI.
You can just say robot president.
Well, yeah.
It's just like a silver box president. How great would that be if, like, Kanye West ran as a robot? Like in one of those, like, you know how he's wearing all these stupid water bottles and box things in his music videos?
Yeah.
Like, how great would that be if he ran for president, but he ran as like a robot? But he was just like, robot Kanye says.
Everyone was just like, is Kanye in a fucking box?
Did you see that Saturday Night Live performance?
I've only watched the first, like, little bit of it. I haven't actually seen his performance or anything. I saw, like, pictures of him, like, you know, spouting off, doing whatever, with, like, Kid Cudi looking sad behind him.
The whole cast of Saturday Night Live just looks confused and scared.
Yeah.
They look like they've been kidnapped.
Right. Yeah. Kenan Thompson was just on Seth Meyers, like, earlier this week or last week or something. Actually, I guess it was earlier this week. But, yeah, he was saying, like, you know, it sort of felt like Kanye took the entire cast hostage. Like,
totally.
Yeah. That, like, he didn't let him know that he was going to do that ahead of time. That, I don't know. It's just Kanye being Kanye.
Right. There's a lot of things I could say about Kanye West. I mean, one thing for sure is that he is crazy.
Yeah.
But also, like, I mean, I personally think that he is a musical genius because I don't think that we would be talking about him if he was just another crazy person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that is absolutely true.
Like, I saw my friend Dave posted a thing on Twitter where it was like, anybody that knows anything about music and music theory knows that Kanye West is straight garbage. And I was like, I get that sentiment, like, I really do, but you have to remember that music isn't science. Like, music is about feeling and about transmitting feeling and stuff. Yeah. And his music does that. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, like, it does do that.
Right. And yeah, whether or not you like him, he changed the music scene whenever he came on it. Yeah.
He's been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, those first Jay-Z CDs that he came out on literally came out in the late 90s and early 2000s. Yeah. Like, I remember listening to, like, the Rock Dynasty 3 in, like, 2000. Yeah. And those beats were incredible. Yeah. And he's still doing it 20 years later.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, he is an incredible producer. Mm-hmm. And that's really what always strikes me, like, with the Pusha T album and his Yay or whatever, how much better the Pusha T album was.
Really?
Yeah, well, at least to me. And, like, it's almost like he experiments more on his own. Yeah. And then, but is, like, really good whenever he's producing for somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, damn, he produced 5 CDs this year. There's Nas, Pusha T, there was a Kids See Ghosts with Kid Cudi, right?
Right.
His thing, and then there was one he did for a lady singer, I think. Yeah. But, I mean... But the other thing, too, is it's like, he is crazy, because, I saw a thing on Twitter where it was like, he tweeted that, like, him and his dad were, like, brainstorming ideas to solve plastics or something, and I was like, well, first of all, that's cool that he's talking about that, but really, it's funny to me that it's like, don't worry, guys.
Me and my dad are brainstorming.
Kanye West and his dad splitting a bottle and figuring out solving the world's problems.
Yeah. I also just saw, like, I guess his dad, like, beat cancer or something, and he was just like, yeah, now that my dad beat cancer, you know, no more fears. We're gonna eat this plate of bugs. No more fears. And, like, Lil Yachty, like, quoted it and was like, oh, you tweaking. Like, oh, you're on a whole other thing now.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was just like a plate full of, like, cockroaches and shit.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
Did they really eat it?
I don't know.
Jeez.
It's Kanye Kardashian. Like, you never know what's actually happening there.
It's like Will Smith jumping out of a helicopter.
Right.
It's like, you don't have to do that, bro.
Right.
But there's one other thing I was going to say about Kanye. Oh, I do agree with some of the stuff not all of the stuff he says, but some of the stuff he says, like he brought up the point that, like, in the 2016 election, they were basically trying to force either a Bush or a Clinton onto the American public.
Yeah.
I mean, that was basically the narrative.
Yeah.
And that Trump came in and, you know, with his crazy talk and whatever, stirred everybody up, and with Russia, won the presidency. But it's like, I just think that an intelligent person in American society today needs to be more aware of those dynamics.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's not a bad, I don't like Trump. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he does. I don't like him. I think as a person, he's a disgusting sociopath. Some of the stuff he does with the trade stuff, I think may be good in the future. I don't know. But my point is that, love him or hate him, he brought a completely different dynamic to our political culture of, like, more people could be president.
Right.
And that's a really important thing historically.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, realistically, like, we don't need more Bushes and Clintons.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah, we don't want dynasties like that.
Exactly.
That, like, what was that? The Democratic rebuttal to his State of the Union, or one of his State of the Unions. They had, like, one of the Kennedys doing it, and it's just like, okay, yeah, that's great. He can speak. He can speak well and everything, but, like, please stop. Did you learn nothing?
That's crazy.
Like, yeah, it's super weird.
Well,
but
the bottom line is, it's like to me, climate change is the issue. Like, poverty is real close, and, you know, healthcare and education are real close after that. But to me, climate change is the game.
Yeah,
it's like,
it is the most pressing matter.
Yeah, and it's like, look, if you guys have had, you know, the Bushes had 12 years, and the Clintons had 8 years, so that's 20 years.
Yeah,
and not a goddamn thing was done about climate change. So it's like, okay, cool, you had your chance. Like, get the fuck off the court.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've had enough of listening to you guys not solve the problems.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and it's like, I don't know. I just feel like that's an important thing to think about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, going back to Kanye, he does occasionally bring up, like, good points, like you were saying, but then in the same breath, he says something incredibly stupid, like slavery was a choice. Or
Even that is, I don't agree with it, but it is a deep thing to say, which is that, like, there is some level of complicity with that, because what he was saying with that is that he would rather die than be a slave.
Right.
And you have to understand that if a whole people as an organization felt that way, it would have changed the way slavery operated.
Yeah.
And it's a really painful and awful thing to say and talk about, because you don't want to say, well, you should be willing to die not to be a slave, because that's bullshit for me to sit here and say that.
Right.
But on a deeper level, like, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a choice.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah, like, he brings up good points, but frames them incredibly poorly.
And he also uses, I mean, he just makes up numbers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I saw that he said, like, it was like 800,000 slaves or something. It was like 5 million or something like that. Like, he's just way off on his numbers.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really surprise me at all either. Like, you know, he's not known to be a numbers guy.
I don't know. The whole thing is confusing.
Yeah.
I just like that he's bringing, like, a different approach to just race stuff.
Yeah.
You know, even though I don't agree with his opinions and stuff, I like that he's like, I'm going to think for myself no matter how fucking stupid or crazy it seems.
Yeah.
And no matter how much it alienates me from my own culture.
Yeah.
I mean, people fucking hate him for that Trump stuff.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
You know?
Yeah.
Which I can totally understand.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I don't know. It's a weird time.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't trump Kanye in 2020.
I mean, I would like to laugh at a Kanye West being involved in anything political, but Donald Trump is the president.
Yeah, anything is possible.
So, I mean, I really don't even know. it's weird to think that like Trump wouldn't have been president without being on The Apprentice either.
Yeah.
You know, like he would not have the name recognition to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, well, with that New York Times piece recently, like sort of exposing all the fraud in his background that you know led to him like inflating his own worth, which led to the TV show, and like he's been gaming the system for a long time,
basically forever.
Yeah,
I mean, if you watch that Netflix series on him, which is extremely whitewashed about what actually happened in his life, it still paints a picture.
Yeah,
which is that his company went bankrupt, and he took his, you know, he was doing like wrestling stuff and basically being a showman at that point. He took his company public basically on nothing, and turned it into a financial powerhouse basically out of thin air. Yeah. You know, which is a crazy thing to think about, to have the balls to do that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, it's becoming more and more apparent that at least part of the monetary aspect of it was just like him siphoning off of his dad's fortune. And like with the casino stuff, he was sort of committing fraud there for a while with sort of having his dad funnel money into his casino that was failing, and and I mean like talking up his own brand and all that, but at the same time he's made it work.
Well, that's the fucked up thing, is that it basically is America.
Yeah.
It's like if you can trick people into believing that you're successful, then you are successful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the story of a lot of rappers, you know, pretending like they're like, even if you go back to like the big timers and Lil Wayne type stuff, like back in the day, like they were pretending like they had way more money than they really did.
Yeah.
Like Master P.
True. Right.
You know, like I heard a podcast with Theo Von recently where he's talking about how he's sat and coached with Master P like multiple times on an airplane, you know, and it's like, it really is a fake it till you make it culture, and it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
You know, but he really embodies that.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically is a con artist. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I mean, he just tells people what they want to hear,
right,
and then goes about and does whatever he's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, his entire career has just been built on essentially being a spokesperson. Yep. Like, and more often than not, it's actually failed in doing so. Right. Like with Trump steaks, with Trump casinos, Trump University, you know, like all of these things that, you know, should be like, oh, hey, it's that Trump guy again. He sold us shitty steaks. Right. Like, but instead it's just, hey, there's that Trump guy again. And that's it. Yeah. not only that's it, but hey, there's that Trump guy. He must have something to offer because he has so much confidence. Yeah. It's basically the Wolf of Wall Street syndrome, where it's like, it doesn't matter how much you rip somebody off. They're still going to want to know how you did it, so maybe they can do it. Right. I mean, that's what I was saying about that $440,000 thing. Is it's like, we all want to be millionaires, but the reality is that really probably none of us will be. Right. And so it's like, set your sights on something that's attainable. Right. I'm trying to think of how I was going to connect that, but it's just, it's basically like a lot of it is like a scam culture. Yeah. You know, it's like, absolutely. It's just interesting how that works. Yeah. The fact that he won't release his tax records, to me, is like, any rational American citizen should say, look, if you won't release your tax records, you can't be president. Right. Because we all have to release our tax records. Right. You know? Yeah. Like, if the IRS called me today and was like, give me your tax records, I'd have to give them to you. Right. You know? Yeah, I can't. She's like, nope, under audit, I can't do that. Like, and I don't know. He always just makes such disingenuous arguments, and it's insane that people have believed him as long as they have, and that they still continue to believe him. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope that it's sort of an awakening for a lot of people, which it definitely seems to be, for being more politically active and politically conscious. Yeah, I can see that. Least. Yeah, and that was kind of my point about him being like the third option to Trump and Hillary, Bush and Hillary, it's like, yeah, maybe that is the whole point, is that it gets people more involved. Right. You know, I've voted more often since that happened, because it's like, whoa, this shit's real. Yeah, you know? It kind of exposed like the myth of my vote doesn't matter. Right. Like, okay, yeah, there are a lot of people voting, but like you gotta go do it. Yeah. Otherwise, some shit's gonna happen.
Well, especially locally.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can make a much bigger change at a local level, and I mean, like with what Bernie was always saying, like it starts at the grassroots. Like you have to begin locally and then build your way up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. It really makes sense. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I thought with social media there'd be more accountability for your words and
right,
actions.
You would think
and stuff.
so.
It's a weird time right now because like even with this Kavanaugh stuff or like with Louis C.K. or any of these people, like none of these people have been convicted of a crime.
Yeah.
You know, like the thing that I've kept saying is we have a justice system for a reason. Like I feel like this should apply to Trump and anyone else. It's like if you've committed a crime, you should be tried for that crime, and based on the evidence, you should be found either guilty or not guilty, and we should all proceed.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's weird that we're getting into this area where it's like, almost like trial by mob.
Right.
You know, where it's like...
more of, court of public opinion.
Somebody can send one tweet and their whole fucking life is over.
Yeah.
Which is weird, a weird thing, because like, I listen to a lot of podcasts where people say really controversial stuff, and they never get called out on it.
Yeah.
But if they were to tweet that, it'd be a really fucking big deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, really, it depends a lot upon just the platform that whatever you're saying is on. Like, I mean, like, Roseanne could have been shouting out on a street corner and she wouldn't have gotten canned. But, I mean, sort of at the same time, at least in her case, like, she was doing stuff like that for a while. And her production channel or whatever, like they knew about it coming into it before they brought back that show. They were like, yeah, we hope she cools it with the tweeting, or like doesn't tweet as much. So like they knew she had problematic views and everything, but they were still willing to be like, we can look past that. We can make a buck on her. Right.
Yeah. I mean, they put her on TV after she dressed like Hitler.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, her tweet, I felt like it was taken out of context.
Yeah. You know? I mean, it was still, not obviously not an okay thing to say.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the full context, but those do seem like her genuine views. Yeah. Whether or not.
It's hard to know. I really don't follow Roseanne that much. I do think we're seeing like a real clash of cultures, though, because like you have to understand, like when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, I was called and also said basically the most horrible words I can think of.
Right.
And it was just like a common daily thing. Yeah. Like it's just how we all operated as children.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's like if I were to say that stuff on Twitter, it's like good night.
Right.
Like, and it, obviously I don't think in those ways or whatever. But like it's like weird, like you're seeing this weird convergence of like two completely different cultures.
Yeah, where people are held accountable for like their words, but not the facts within,
or even their actions.
Yeah. Right. It's literally just What do you say? Like what have you said that can outrage anybody? And if you've said X number of things, then bye. Like you got to go fend for yourself. But then you can be somebody like Trump and lie multiple times every day. Have newspapers literally tracking the number of lies. And he averages like 8 a day or something.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I think really like looking at it from a longer viewpoint, I think Trump's going to go down as a real case study for if you just keep hitting them with information. It just I'm just amazed at the stuff that he gets away with. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing a little while back that his whole lying and like thousands of stories every day, it seems like, is actually sort of a Russian propaganda technique called fire hosing.
Yep.
Where if you just bombard people with enough information, they'll just at some point they'll stop listening and they just won't pay attention to the more egregious things.
Right. There's also the broader context of, I learned this really early on in that alternative school, which they taught us that. So like in Russia and China, they try to manipulate the media so that nothing gets out that they don't want to get out, right?
Yeah.
That's not the way it is in America. It kind of is, but really what it is they've realized that if you can keep the percentage of people that know what's really like going on, and like let's take for example, like we spent $6 trillion in the Middle East war since 2001,
Right.
and we have basically nothing to show for that,
Yeah.
except for a lot of lost lives
Right.
and whatnot. So it's like there is a certain core percentage of people, let's call it like 20% of people that know that that's going on. If it's not up to 40% or above, it doesn't matter,
Right.
because it can't change the course of things.
Yeah.
And they've really realized that all you have to do is just keep and Trump is like the personification of that technique, which is to just keep steamrolling.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you don't even have to hide the truth.
Right.
You really don't. Like
Yeah.
you just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, like this Vice movie is a great example. Like that movie will come out, there will be articles written about it, people will do interviews, there'll be things said, this and that. But at the end of the day, nothing's going to change.
Right.
There will still be enormous fortunes made off of those wars,
Yeah.
and that'll be the end of the story.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as long as people are making money, then nobody's going to stop them.
It's just a weird thing to me though when we put it all under like patriotism and
Yeah.
all this stuff, when the world, like, that's what I was going to say earlier, is it's like so strange how at this time we're converging with robots and AI,
Yeah.
and also our world is like burning up, and like all these places are getting hit by horrible storms.
Yeah.
And you know, like you have to understand, like you're 25, right?
Right.
I'm 34, so we could each live reasonably another 50 to 60 years.
Right.
In that time, it's entirely possible that like some of the cities that we know and love just won't be inhabitable because of storms.
Right.
And it's just like that should be a thing that we all are like rallying against, you know, and instead we're not.
Right.
It's strange.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think about that a lot.
Right.
Where it's just like, what's really important?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So much focus is just put on money instead of, you know, our standing in the world. Like, well, not even that, but just like the actual state of the world.
Just the equilibrium of humanity, really. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we're existing in an environment. We have to maintain the environment at the very least.
Yeah. And and honestly, that issue really does make me wonder sometimes about lizard people. I'm not gonna lie. Like, what other animal
fucking Ted Cruz
destroys their own ecosystem? Yeah. Like, who does that?
Dinosaurs are playing the long con.
I mean, that was an exterior event. You know? It's a weird thing.
The lizard people were actually telling us that the dinosaurs got killed out. But they didn't.
Oh, that'd be a good movie. If they were descended from dinosaurs. Like there was like a race of like dinosaur kings, like super intelligent dinosaurs that like went underground, and lived in like the molten lava areas. I don't know. There's just so much to think about and to explore. You know, I mean, you can't solve all the world's problems, but it's just I don't know. It's good to think about it, talk about it, and such.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, people are certainly getting more informed about it, at least, and that is a positive step.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool that like you can watch shows on YouTube that are completely uncensored about politics and stuff, and get like completely different viewpoints and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's one great thing about podcasts. You know, it's like this is uncensored.
Right.
Like, I don't have to run this by anybody before I just put it on the internet and be like, "Yo, this is up.
Yeah.
Check it out."
Right.
You know, it's a really weird thing. Oh, I was gonna ask you one more thing about your coding school.
Yeah.
Just to tell me like how that works.
Yeah. So I mean, we meet 2 nights, 1 day a week, for like 3 to 4 hours. Just kind of. Like, our instructor goes through, like, shows us sort of, like, the basics of any given program. Like, we started with Excel, and, like, the instructor will show us something, then we'll do an activity sort of based on that. Then the instructor will show us something else that builds off of that and just like keeps going like that, just kind of building up and up. And like we did Excel, and then the next week we did Visual Basic, which you can actually use through Excel. And then we moved to Python last week, and we started using sort of a thing within Python called pandas. That allows you to do more like web-based stuff. Like it's really helpful for like debugging code.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that sounds really fascinating. Man, it sounds really useful.
Yeah. Really, I think more people should at least try to learn some coding.
Yeah.
That it will be a big deal. I don't know, within like 10 to 15 years for sure.
It's a big deal right now.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah, I know, like there are a lot of like kids' toys and stuff like focused on trying to get sort of an early jumping on point for coding and just mathematical thinking. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I love math.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I've never tried to code,
Yeah.
so it's been like kind of a scary thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely is.
But I like that you're like focusing on something useful.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, did you hear that Elon Musk podcast with Joe Rogan?
No, I just saw the memes.
Famously didn't smoke weed.
Right. Didn't even fucking inhale.
He really didn't.
No. Just. Yeah.
But that's one thing that he said in that podcast, which I thought was really valuable, which is to try and focus on useful things and productive things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Know? And that would be like a key, almost like a key to your whole life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really just good to always be trying to pick up another useful skill. Mm-hmm. Like, however, you know, big of a deal that is, whether it just be like, you know, cutting time off of your like daily routine, or like possibly giving you a chance for like a new career. Like, you should be trying to learn something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
At any turn that you get.
Yeah. Something that can be really worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, the people I'm always most jealous of are like people that build houses and buildings and stuff. Because it's like, man, they get to like plan that out and
and like really see what it is when they're done.
Yeah, totally. It's really cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, watching any baseball this year?
Not really, because the Royals were pretty bad.
Well, they had an off year. I watched the Rockies-Cubs game last night.
Oh, yeah?
It was a good game.
Nice.
13 innings.
Yeah, I saw it went super long, yeah.
A's and Yankees tonight.
Ooh.
Wild card.
Yeah.
Yee.
Yeah.
Predictions on the Chiefs? 4 Super Bowls in a row. Hashtag Cowboy style.
The Bills, but we actually win.
So the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Be the Thurman Thomas of 2018.
That would be insane if Mahomes just won a Super Bowl in his first year actually starting.
That would be baller.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Chiefs defense had any kind of, you know, if they could stand up to anything, we need to get Eric Berry back.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's really a shame that Earl Thomas got hurt. Because that would have been, I mean, if we would have been able to get Eric Berry back and have Earl Thomas, that would have been insane. Well, I mean, our corners still would have been garbage, but
is Eric Berry out for the rest of the year? Or
no,
like
he's
week to week.
Yeah, he's week to week. I mean, he had that Achilles injury last year, and I guess it's just like lingering soreness,
really,
or something. Yeah,
because they keep calling it a sore heel, and I'm like, how sore does your heel have to be, bro?
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a lot more serious.
Right. Yeah. That is kind of the thing with like injury reports. So it's just like, oh well, that sounds like bullshit. But
interesting. Well, yeah, that's pretty much all I had.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Sweet. Thanks for doing it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Boom.
These waffles are so good. These buttery motherfuckers are melting your mouth, man. They like they come from down south. These buttery motherfuckers are melting your mouth. They like they come from down